to the F8-inch shop, and today the topic is going to be knurling. We're going to throw some round stock on the Monarch here. I've got some knurling tools set up. I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to talk about different styles of knurling, the pros and the cons of different knurling tools, and then we're going to get some knurling done today. Please like, share, and subscribe, and if you want to see more, go to our Facebook page, like our Facebook page, so you can stay updated on all of our new videos that get posted. All right, let's go ahead and get some knurling done. So here we have our 3 knurling tools. There are several types of knurling tools out there, but these are the 3 that I have, and we're going to talk about them. And these 3 I think will cover the pretty wide range of types of knurling tools out there. There's not a lot of different ways to knurl, so these 3 here today I think are going to cover just about everything you're going to see out there. So I'll start from left to right. So this right here is a bump style knurl, and you can see that it's got different knurling wheels on it. This one here is a scissor type knurl, and this one here is a cut style knurl. So let's go ahead and get started with the bump style knurl. All right, so this one I picked up with a lot of tools, and it came with several different tools in a bucket basically, but I saw this was in there, and it's the whole reason why I bought the bucket of tools, was because of this right here alone. I think I paid like $150 for the bucket or something like that, but this tool alone I think is in the $300 range, somewhere in there. So it is an older model, and you can see it's a number 3 K1, it looks like, Williams knurling tool. And I think you can buy almost this exact same model at McMaster-Carr. McMaster-Carr doesn't give you brands or brand names, but when you pull it up, it looks exactly like this. So I don't know what brand it is, but it looks just like this. So let's talk about these knurling wheels. This was the first knurling tool I really had, and I played around a lot with it just to understand how to do knurling and what I could do with it, what my machines could do with it. And it has these 3 different teeth. It has a fine, has a medium, and then it has an aggressive. The problem with this tool is it doesn't tell you what, they call them TPI, but threads per inch, what TPI these wheels are. So I really like this aggressive wheel here, and I like the cut that it makes, but I didn't know what threads per inch these wheels were. And there probably is a way where you could knurl a piece of bar and then measure it out, but I just wasn't really sure how to do that. So I had to go on the hunt for finding the right thread per inch. And the other thing is they are replaceable, I guess, but they're probably really hard to replace. And I had a knurling job come up, and I knew I was going to use at least a couple of wheels. So I needed a tool where I could replace these wheels. The other problem with this type of knurling tool, if you've got a short run, or if you've got just a couple of things that need to be knurled, this is a great tool. And if you just want to play around and learn about knurling, this is a good tool to start with. It's also good because it gives you different types of wheels. But the problem with bump style knurling, it is very hard. It's very hard on your machine. It's very hard on your headstock. It can be hard on your tailstock. It puts a lot of pressure on the machine and on the work as well. The way knurling works is this type of knurling, it actually is not cutting material off. Even though you'll see flakes come off the work, it's not cutting the material. It's actually putting indentions in the material. So the amount of pressure you have to put on that stock is significant. You got to put a significant amount of pressure right here, and when you do that, it causes your work to deflect over. like that. I mean, this is an extreme example, but it causes your work to deflect over. And you have to run coolant. I've tried it without coolant, and it's very hard on your wheels, it's very hard on your machine, and it heats up really, really fast. So you want to run coolant whenever you're knurling. You also want to run at, and I've played around with speeds and feeds. You want to run the feed slow, but your speeds you want to be up, your RPM you want to be up moderately high. You don't want super high RPMs, but somewhere in the mid-range. But you definitely want to be feeding in slowly. Okay, let's talk about this beast here. This is a Eagle Rock setup, and this is called a Scissor type knurling tool. And you can see that it comes with the tool block here that fits into your tool holder. Then it has this this area where you can actually pivot the tool up or down so that you can align it. And then it has this lock bolt here. You tighten this up so this actually doesn't move. And then you have a set screw underneath here. So what you do is you get this whole thing lined up with your work. You get these teeth even with top and bottom of your round stock. And then once you have all that in place, you tighten this up, you lock it down, you get the right amount of pressure that you want on your wheels, you lock that down, and then you lock this set screw down. And that puts all of the moving components, it gets them all set so that they don't move while you're cutting the knurl. After you've run several knurls, these wheels will start to wear down a little bit, and your knurl depth won't be as aggressive, it won't be as deep. And so this is the adjustment here. You can tighten this a little bit, lock it back down, and it'll give you the proper knurl that you're looking for. Another great thing about this tool is that these wheels are easily accessible. They've got set screws, top and bottom, and then they've got pins right here on the side. Just push those pins out, and you can replace these wheels fairly easy. So that's another benefit to this style tool. Probably the biggest benefit to this style tool is the amount of pressure that it does not put on the work, on the round stock. Because it's clamping on the round stock here, all the pressure is absorbed right here where that clamping force is. This is where you're getting your indention pressure from. That's why it's called a scissor type. And so because of that, the amount of force put on the work is greatly minimized. So what they do is they change the direction that the force is being applied to the work, and you still keep about the same speeds and feeds, but as it's moving along, you can notice a big difference in how much deflection is happening in the round stock. The decreased pressure on the work is probably the biggest benefit of this tool, and it's why a lot of people who do any knurling will go this direction because of that reason. It's easier on the tool, it's easier on your wheels, and it's easier on the work. They do have a CNC model of this. The main difference that I notice is that instead of a square shank here, they have a round one, and I think they put it on the other side for your slant style CNCs, which actually do all the cutting from the opposite side of a manual lathe. So how they work in CNCs, I don't know. I would think they'd work just as good as a manual, but I really don't know if this is a superior option in a CNC machine. But I can tell you, as far as a manual lathe, this is a much better way to go than your bump style lathe, just because of the wear and tear it puts on your machine. As far as the type of knurl it provides, they look very close to being the same as far as the style of knurl or how nice the knurl looks. They both look, from what I can tell, they look fairly similar. So the quality of the knurl, you're not losing the quality of the knurl, you're just increasing the life of the tool in your machine. Okay, this is our third knurling tool, and this is a Dorian. And this thing, it's not cheap. These things run about $1,200, and they have a really neat design. They're a modular design here. You can remove this head, and you can put several different knurling heads on this. You can put a bump style, you can put a scissor style or a clamping style, and then there's this style head. So this style is a what they call a cut knurl. What this does is it's actually cutting the knurl out of the work, and because of that, it's also minimizing the amount of pressure it's putting on the work on the round stock. It's minimizing the amount of pressure it takes because it's not trying to indent the metal. It just needs enough pressure to where it can grab the metal and then cut out slivers of that metal. The interesting thing here is your standard knurling tool will create flakes, but these actually do create these little slivers, these little slivers of metal because it's cutting it out. Now, it's very, very important that you're using cooling on this style. You can get away with one or two on the other styles, but with this, you cannot get away without using coolant because it gums it all up, and it really, really messes up the look and the finish of the knurl. So they send this in a neat little box here. Comes with a couple of tools, and it's a really nice package deal. And I was pretty impressed with what I read online and things that I saw, and from what I hear, this is a really nice setup for CNC machines. But to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed. There's a couple of reasons, and I'll talk to you about them. I have these two setups here. Now, I have the bump style. Right off the bat, I knew that this was not an option for me. I knew that this wasn't going to work. The amount of knurling I had to do, the amount of pressure, and just the uncertainty of, am I getting the right depth every single time? So I knew right off the bat this was not going to do it for me. So I was left to look at these two. And I was looking at these two, trying to make up my mind on which one I wanted. I heard good reviews on both of them. But the fact that this is a cut style, and it was a modular design, and it just seemed to be superior. The cost on this is more than double. So this one here, I want to say is around $300 to $350, and like I said, this one was $1,200. So it's quite a bit of difference. And I was thinking, for that kind of money, it's got to be better, right? So I went ahead and got this one shipped in, but the teeth on it, the wheels, were not what I wanted. This is what you would consider, I think, a mid aggressive TPI. I want to say this is 25 teeth per inch is what this comes with standard. So I knew I was going to need some new wheels for this. And as far as customer service goes with Dorian, I would have to say that I haven't been impressed. They're a great company. They produce some really good stuff. They make really nice tooling, and they're one of the top in their industry. But for me to figure out what the TPI was needing, I called them. You know, I got some secretary or somebody, and she went back and talked to whoever it was in the back when I was asking about getting the proper wheels, knurling wheels for this tool. And she got my number, she got my name and my email, and she said there's a form you have to fill out. So this form, you have to give all your parameters. You got to give you the stock, what kind of material you're using, the size, the diameter, the type of tool you have, your speeds, your feeds. You got to give all this information, fill it out, send it back into them before a engineer will call you and talk to you. So I understand, you know, maybe they want to just deal with people that kind of know what they're talking about, and they don't have a lot of time maybe to waste on people who don't really know what they're doing. So, okay, I get that, but to be honest, I really don't know what I'm doing, and I really don't know what speeds and feeds I need. And yes, I know what bar stock I'm using and the type of material it is, but I mean, outside of that, a lot of what I do is just trial and error. A lot of what I do is just, hey, I get the tool, I use it, maybe I watch some videos on YouTube, and then I try it out, you know, and I do it until I'm good enough to produce something. And that's kind of how I worked all my life. That's kind of how I think a lot of people work, unless they're fortunate enough to be under some type of OJT program, or they're going to a vocational school where they're going to get formal training. But outside of that, there's not a lot of people that are just professionals at knurling, you know. So for me to have to fill out a complete form just to talk to an engineer, and email that in and then wait for them to call me back, I just didn't think that was the best customer service. So they did get back to me. They did give me a knurling part number, or a wheel part number, and but remember, the original issue was I didn't know what this aggressive wheel TPI was. I knew I wanted this style, but I didn't know what the threads per inch were on this, and so they didn't help me there. They sent me a aggressive style wheel that I could have used, but they didn't help me to understand what the threads per inch were on this wheel here. So I think what they ended up sending me was like a 20 threads per inch part number, and here's another problem is I can't just order these wheels directly from Dorian. They don't sell direct to the public, so I had to call a local tooling vendor and ask them if they had the wheels in stock, and they said no, we don't carry these wheels in stock. They don't even carry many Dorian parts in stock other than your cutters, and you know, some CNC stuff, but they definitely don't carry these wheels. So just to get the wheels that I want from Dorian, I have to go through a third party. They have to order them in. Once they get them in, then I have to go pick them up from them and then pay them. So it's just all the way around, it's a hassle. I got to fill out a form to talk to somebody. I got to go through a third party to order wheels. Plus the tool is expensive, and I'll let you judge for yourself. But after using the tool, to be honest, I just wasn't real impressed as far as the difference that it made in the quality of the cut, in the work, and the pressure applied. I just wasn't real impressed overall for that kind of money. The other thing is that, like I said, this is a cut style knurl, and I really didn't know what a cut style knurl looked like, but I thought, hey, you know, it probably wouldn't be too bad. But after doing it, it is not as nice as a standard knurl that is pressed into the metal. Whenever you press a knurl into the metal, it creates a diamond pattern. That diamond pattern has a crown that pops off the top of it, and it has a dimple right in the center of the diamond. And I know most people don't pay attention to that stuff, but when you start knurling, and if you look really, really close, you can see the crown that it creates, and you can see the little dimple that it puts in the middle of that diamond. And it makes it look really nice. This is just cutting a hatch style pattern out of it. It is literally cutting the lines of a diamond in the metal And to me, it just looks a little cheesy. It just doesn't look very nice. So, I mean, it's good enough if you're doing some knurls and most people aren't paying attention to the quality of the knurl, or if you're doing something where the knurl doesn't need to look that nice. But if you want that knurl to be nice, you want it to be aggressive, and you want it to actually grab and have some teeth to it, this definitely does not produce that aggressive type of knurl that will really grab onto things. So that's enough about Dorian. I still think it's a great tool. I'm hoping I can get other heads for it to be able to use this tool, but I was not impressed with the amount of money I spent on this. I was not impressed with just the entire package, customer service, the cut type, and the quality of the tool itself. Just wasn't impressed overall. I'm sure this thing will last a long time. I'm sure it will do great in CNC type work, but this is not what I was needing for this job. So let's talk about the Eagle Rock. So the Eagle Rock, this here really saved me, and just right off the bat, I was super impressed with this tool. And even furthermore, I was impressed with the customer service that I received with this tool. So I called Eagle Rock up directly, and I told them about the bump style wheel, and I told them about this 3 pattern bump style tool that I have. And I asked him, I said, I need the most aggressive, I'm looking for the most aggressive wheel that I have on here. And he said, well, you know, I really don't know what kind of tool you have, and I don't know what the wheels or the TPI is on that tool. But what I can tell you is most common, a light wheel, and I don't remember exactly what this is. I think it's like 30 TPI or something like that. He said a light duty would be around 30. Your mid-range is going to be about 25, and then your aggressive is going to be about 14. And at the time, I didn't know if he was right or not. I didn't know if 14 was really what I needed. But I said, okay, well, I'll take a 14 and we'll try it out. And so he sent me the wheels, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but they are very, very close to being the same. And after knurling with this, I think they hit it right on the dot. I think this is exactly a 14 TPI wheel. And when I knurl with this tool, I get the exact same look that I was going for. I get the exact aggressive type diamond that I was trying to achieve. Not only that, but it puts minimal pressure on my machine and minimal pressure on the tool. I've had to replace these wheels out one time, and I've done several different knurls with this tool, and it's really lasted. It's really done a good job for me. And to be honest, if it wasn't for this tool, I don't know how I would have done the amount of knurls that I have done. So I don't know how I would have got through the job if it wasn't for this tool and for the customer support that they provided. And ironically, I was just now thinking about it, but I'm actually standing on all the bars that I've knurled. I'll show you here. And this is just a few of them. This is one lot. But you can see I've been knurling the ends here, and that Eagle Rock has just really done a nice job for me. Alright, so that is my knurling tools. You got the bump style, our scissor style, and then our cut style knurling tool. And like I said, probably the biggest lesson learned here is that the most expensive tool is not always the best option. And sometimes the little guy can outperform the big guy. Got my round stock all measured out, and we've got 1, 2, 3 sections to knurl. So I'm going to get this in the lathe, turn down the end and center drill the end here, get everything set up, and we'll go ahead and start with the bump style first because I want it to be as close to the headstock as possible. We'll do the scissor type here in the middle, and then we'll end it with the door in on the end. So let's get it chucked up.